to The Alternative American. Now, I wanted to talk a bit about the Kate STEINLE verdict and what I think it means for Americans and the significance of it. So, for those of you who follow me on this channel who aren't caught up, let's just say, or have kind of skimmed over the information, skimmed over the case. So there was a Caucasian woman named Kate STEINLE who lived in California. I believe she was out with her father. This was July 14, 2015. And she was on walking down Pier 14, and she encountered Jose Zarate, who is an illegal immigrant, or he's an illegal alien from Mexico. And he stated that he found the gun under a truck or something like that. He picked it up, he shot the gun, and the bullet ricocheted off of the pier or something like that. And with that happening, with the bullet ricocheting off, Kate STEINLE was hit once or twice or something like that. He shot I think he shot once or twice. Either way, Kate STEINLE was hit and she was killed. And she was taken to the hospital. I think it was San Francisco. She died 2 hours later. Now, this was a big case. And I followed this through social media. I followed this through online. And so this happened a couple of years ago. I didn't hear anything about this overseas. However, I really found this to be quite interesting, dealing with the situation as far as illegal immigrants and refugees. This particular situation that has been occurring over the last few years, more so in Europe than in the US. Now, they rendered a verdict, and Jose Zarate was found not guilty of the murder or manslaughter of Kate STEINLE. However, they said over the last few years, they have tried to implement some sort of laws. One law was called Kate's Law, which makes or prevents California from harboring illegal immigrants or people who are harboring criminals in sanctuary cities in California. So that's a start. Now, they implemented a few other similar laws like that over the past few years. However, the Kate's Law, I think, is still ongoing. It's not completely passed to my understanding, but it's still ongoing. Now, what made this situation very interesting to me, and yes, I am tired, so I'm a little bit slow, but what made this interesting to me was that if you're living in California and you are dealing with any type of foreign criminals, or you encounter a situation with a foreign criminal, the way that it appeared that Jose Zarate was protected, and we've heard a lot about this in Europe, of illegal immigrants and refugees having a certain protection, that I found that legal immigrants not having, refugees that actually attend university who actually have papers, there are certain rights that they don't even receive that some of the illegal or some of these new types of refugees and new type of illegal immigrants are getting in California now. And I find this to be quite interesting. The turnover in California, it becoming a sanctuary city, and it's starting to mirror a lot like Sweden. It's starting to mirror a lot like Germany and different parts of Europe and Italy. Now, these are cities that I lived in. I didn't live in Sweden. I lived in Denmark. And when I lived in Denmark, they didn't really have a big refugee problem. I still don't think that they do have that. However, they had an immigrant problem, which they weren't really happy with, but that's an immigrant. That's a totally different situation. However, if you lived in, I lived in Rome for a bit, and it was out of control. I mean, the illegal immigration was just out of control. Like even in the train stations, you'll just see just the police just everywhere. It's out of control. And Rome kind of looks a bit like a sanctuary city. Actually, it looks a bit like a tent city in certain neighborhoods and certain parts, especially around the train station. And for those of us who were considering moving to California, that kind of really, um, that's really food for thought. That's really food for thought. A lot of us, a lot of Americans aren't really cool with dealing with um, just having an influx of illegal immigrants in any shape, form, or fashion, having to pay for their health care, having to pay and in some countries having your tax money go to certain parts of education, certain forms of housing. A lot of Americans just aren't here for that. They just aren't supportive of that because they already are very stretched thin. And that's something that I've noticed being in the United States for just a bit of 3 weeks, that Americans are very stretched thin. I want to say there's a middle class that is just very stretched thin, and you can feel it. You can feel it. Now, the next thing I wanted to say is that um, to me, and my channel really started off big and heavy on the New World Order and globalization angle, which I still wholeheartedly do believe in the New World Order. I believe that we're living in it now. But I believe that Kate STEINLE and Jose Zarate were, I want to almost say, tools for globalization right now. We know that different parts of the Western world are not going to stop illegal immigration, refugees. They're in support of it. And we also have had our eyes open that the United States is also, they also are following suit. However, Donald Trump is kind of anti-globalization. He's actually trying to put the brakes on it. I'm going to do a video about the travel ban that he's really working on getting passed. But as far as I don't want to say liberals because, there's different people for different reasons that support, sanctuary cities and illegal immigrations and illegal immigrants having rights. There's a lot of different people who kind of support that. And you really, really, really want to get away from assigning labels because labels are just boxes and people typically tend not to fit in boxes. But I will say that what we see as far as Jose Zarate being a symbol of is globalization, is the protection of illegal immigrants over the protection of American citizens. We've seen this before. We've seen this happen with situations in Sweden where they've tried to fight back or stand up, and they were kind of hushed down, or things that they reported never made it to paper, never made it to the newspaper, never made it to the news, or the illegal immigrants or refugees were kind of just given a slap on the wrist. We've seen this happen in Germany, and now we have it here in the United States. And I really think that we need to pay attention. This is not an American thing. This is it's a part of globalization. Protecting illegal immigrants, citizens no longer having the rights that they should have. That's all a part of globalization. That's all a part of getting to the end goal, getting to the end result. And just like we've said about European leaders having sold out their own people, it's evident. You go to Europe, you go to enough countries in Europe, you see a pattern. Now, we already know that Hillary Clinton and many, I don't want to say Democrats, but I do want to say non-conservatives did want to send do basically want to sell off America in the same suit. They definitely want to strip down a lot of the rights. They want to remove the guns. You know, they want to leave Americans unarmed and basically vulnerable to whatever attacks or whatever type of laws or whatever type of havoc they just kind of want to wreak, upon Americans. And they just want Americans to just be able to take it. And, with the situation, we all see that no one is safe. We've said this before, no one is safe in the New World Order. We talk so much about race in the United States. The media pushes race upon us. A lot of news channels push the idea of racism and hatred and things like that. But one thing we do know for sure is that no one is safe. We are watching the news and we're seeing every man get yanked off whatever podium for whatever reason for things that happened 20, 30 years ago. We are seeing, like I said, we're seeing men, we're seeing white men, we're seeing people lose their job, we're seeing white women lose their job, we're seeing white women lose their life. We're seeing the power dynamic shift and change right before our own eyes, and only an idiot is going to be sitting up there worrying about race and worrying about their skin color, or if they're dark enough, if they're black enough, when there is a much bigger game being played right now. And why I know that some people would find it weird that, I'm talking about Kate STEINLE as a black woman, because I know in America I'm black, I'm supposed to hate white women. I know, I got the memo, okay, whatever. However, smart people of color would be looking at the situation and questioning it. Why? Because black people in America always are talking about not having the same rights, having less rights than these people, having less rights than Mexicans. However, they don't quite make the connection. They want illegal immigrants coming into the country and getting the quote unquote rights that they say that they don't get. That they want it, they don't mind illegal immigrants coming into the country who would receive housing or things like that they quote unquote, say that they should be up for, but yet these illegal immigrants would have more access to them, more access to education, to health care, that some ethnic people, feel that they don't have access to. And I don't even know if it's a matter of race, but because everyone's hurting now, white, black, some Asian people, a lot of people are hurting around the board. That's why I keep saying that this is not a race issue. This is actually becoming an American issue on a broader level. This is a Western issue. This is a Western issue. And I think that a lot of people, especially black people, need to be opening their eyes, because all these rights that they say that they don't have and how the world is stacked against them, well, wake up. They are letting illegal immigrants free for manslaughter, for killing someone who you deem to be at the highest level of racial supremacy, as a racial superiority, a white person. So if an illegal immigrant who is a Mexican can kill a white woman in America and get away with it, and your black ass would get sent to the jail for looking at her incorrectly for 1 minute, what does that say to you? What does that say to you? You need to be worried about the change that's going on in America. Everyone needs to be worried about it, not just white people, not just Asian, or not just black. Everyone needs to be paying attention about these small things, because after we see these small things add up, and right now everyone's a pawn. Everyone's a pawn in this. And I think that, Kate STEINLE is really a victim, and I think we should all be asking ourselves, well, how will she get justice? If her own people, if you want to look at it, if she was a liberal, if liberals signed the bill, and voted, and found him not guilty by any stretch of the imagination, and this guy's just only going to go to prison or do time just because he had illegal firearms in his possession or something like that. I believe that's what he's going to go down for. When actually they tried to deport him, I believe it was 6 times. Is it 6 times that, Homeland Security kind of wanted him sent back to them? And he, Homeland Security or something was denied. They said, no, we're gonna keep him here and let him go through with the trial. What is that saying to you? Like, I think a lot of Americans kind of need to wake up. You're being lulled to sleep by race when there is so much more bigger issues going on. In the grand scheme of things, black, white, red, yellow means nothing. This is all about power. I've said this in so many of my videos, and I'm going to continue to say it until the cows come home. This is all about power. This is not about race. It's not. There's an agenda that certain people in power want to have accomplished, and it does not matter who they have, who gets sacrificed, or who's a casualty in this war, in this agenda, as long as this agenda gets taken care of. And right now, we see that Kate STEINLE was a victim. She got caught up in the rapture of this globalization plan. And I think that we all need to really be paying attention to it, because, if this, for those people who are so wrapped up in white supremacy and white and black inferiority and all of that stuff, if you're so worried about that, then look at how the top of the ladder got attacked. Look at how the white person got attacked. Then what does that mean for you? You need to be shaking in your boots then. If this is how you feel, if you feel that white people are so supreme, well, we see them every day being kicked off of their pedestal, not by black people, but by other white people. So you have to ask yourself, why? What's going on? What is really behind all of this? Nothing is as it seems. And if you're sitting up here worrying about gym shoes or race or skin color or hair, or not being featured in a magazine, or who Meghan Markle is marrying, you're an idiot. And you deserve to go down as a pawn in this whole thing. You deserve to fill up some sort of camp and pull a mule or something like that, because you've had your opportunity to wake up. These are the days where people need to wake up. And I'm not so sure that this is a spiritual war. This is a war of power, just like every other war is about. This is a war about power. Even spiritual, religious wars, at the very end of it, they're all about power. So I'm going to end this video. I just really wanted to put this video out to, realize that, a lot of us looked at European countries and we're like, oh, we're never going to get there. We're not like Europe, and, Europe can't get their act together. They can't guard their own borders. Well, hello, America. Your American citizens are now going to be second class in their own country. They're going to be second class to people who don't have documents, who don't have visas and passports, and people from neighboring countries who come over and slide underneath the gate. You're going to be at the mercy of the law, or you're going to get the fruit, the pebbles, and the scraps of what these people don't get. And I think it's time that you need to wake up, because there's no more white privilege. If you don't know that that's dead, I don't know. I don't know where you've been, but there's no more white privilege. It's dog eat dog. It's all about power right now. So, only the strong is going to survive. It's going to be might versus right, right now. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I'd like for you guys to go and support me on Patreon, whatever you can do. I'm going to be putting out a lot more of these types of videos. I want to really get away from race, because like I said, race is really a tool for the ignorant and the slow-minded. There's so many other big issues that are going on out there in the grand scheme of things for people who travel the world and see these things happening by the minute. These are the things that we need to be fighting against, and we need to be banding together instead of worrying about how we look on TV and who's marrying who. All of these low-level low-seated, low-energy media bites. We need to get our act together, band together, and make sure that we're not being stomped out and basically destroyed by an invisible power structure that wants to emerge at the detriment of us all. So once again, comment, rate, subscribe, share my video, and I hope you guys will support me on Patreon. I have a lot more videos like this coming up down the pipe. So thanks so much. Bye.